What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy NevinTheBarber, and in today's YouTube tutorial we are going to be going over a high drop fade with a facial. So as you guys can see, my client's hairline was receding. Well, not receding, I guess it got pushed back by his previous barber, I should say. But it looks as if it were receding. But today we are going to fix that. You guys can see how I'm going to approach this situation whenever it comes to clients coming in with a previously pushed back hairline. So as you guys can see, I did go ahead and start this fade right at the top of my client's point of reference, which is basically the top of the hooks on the side of his lineup. And like I said, this is going to be a high drop fade. That way we can try to maintain some of the darkness and the bulk on top without taking the blend too high. As you guys can see, I went ahead and put in my first bald line, followed by my shaver, and then we went ahead and took up the next guideline with no guard lever open. So with this system that I'm doing skin, half, 1.5 blending into the bulk. So it's a very simple system. You guys can see I got my 1.5 guard all the way closed on right now. And I went ahead and brought up this guideline about another inch, followed by my previous guideline. And then we're going to go ahead and do some clipper over comb while leaving the guard on, just to blend into the bulk. And I like to do this with the guard on just to be safe, because you never know how close the clipper is going to be cutting into the hair. So for the next step, I went ahead and put the half guard on all the way open. So we are now cutting the hair down to a short number 1 guard length. And you guys can see I went ahead and started attacking that middle guideline. So this half guard is going to be to disperse out all of that middle guideline section. So you guys really want to try to get it as blurry as you can. And of course, I am shortening my cutting stroke as I'm closing the lever on the clipper. So now that we have the middle section blended out, we just have to come back and erase our final guideline with no guard lever all the way closed. And I'll just gradually open up that lever and flick out any last dark areas that I see as needed. And you guys can see that I was efficiently able to blend out those 2 guidelines with the half guard and with no guard lever closed. This is a very effective method if you guys are looking to achieve that nice, clean, blurry effect on your fades. And you guys really just want to do lever play and pay attention to any last dark areas whenever you're removing this last guideline. I would 100% recommend that you guys do this with the zero gapped clipper, just because it will make the job a lot easier, as opposed to using clippers that are not zero gapped. So now that we have our skin line blended out, I went ahead and came back with my 1.5 guard all the way open, just to blend out those last dark areas that I see on the top of my fade. And if you guys don't know this already, the fade does happen from the 1.5 all the way down to the 0. So if you're trying to, blend out certain lines with the 2 or the 3 guard, more than likely they're not going to get dispersed out. So always keep that in mind whenever you guys are working at your fade, trying to blend out the guidelines. And finally, I went ahead and came back with my Gamma Saber trimmer, just to flick out that last faint bald line that we created with our shaver. That way we can blend our skin line into the fade with no guidelines. And for my client's hairline, I'm going to go ahead and clip up his slick back. That way none of his long hair gets in the way of his baby hairs. And I'm just going to tap that front line, making sure that we don't push his corners back. We did want to maintain as much weight as we could on the corners without pushing it back. And when I do my lineups, I usually work my way from middle to right and then follow it on the other side, middle to left. I do like to, blend out one side of the fade and do the lineup before I move on to the other, just so I can, get more symmetry in my cut and know where to place my guidelines and whatnot when I'm doing the other side. You guys can see that lineup is looking very sharp. And now that we finished the left side of my client's fade, we're going to go ahead and do the same exact steps on the right side. Again, we are going to bring his hairline back to life. You guys saw me restore the left side, and we're going to do the same exact steps on the right side. So first things first, I went ahead and set in my first bald line with my Gamma Saber trimmers, ensuring that we took off all the bulk. And after you guys get this trimmer line set, you do want to make sure to go over it with your shaver, just to ensure that that stubble is cut all the way down to the skin. So now I went ahead and took my Rebel shaver made by Stylecraft. And all of these clippers that I'm using are made by Stylecraft and Gamma. And if you guys are interested in purchasing them, feel free to use my code NEVIN10 for a discount on your total. So for the next step in the fade, I went ahead and did no guard lever all the way open, followed by the 1.5 guard all the way closed. So you guys can see we have our 3 guidelines now: our skin guideline, our half guideline, and our 1.5 guideline. So now we're gonna work at that 1.5 guideline and blend it straight into the bulk of my client's hair while doing clipper over comb. And when you guys do this, you do want to make sure to roll that comb out. So now we're gonna erase the second guideline we created with the half guard all the way open. And little by little, that guideline is going to fade away as you guys start closing that lever. Just pay attention to your client's growth pattern, just because sometimes some hair strands might be growing in different directions than others. So you always want to pay attention to the growth pattern of your client's hair whenever you guys are fading out the guidelines. And on this side, I went ahead and just went straight into clipper over comb after my work with the half guard, just so I could show you guys a little bit of a different way you can blend into the bulk rather than using the 1.5 guard. So as you guys can see, that middle section is completely blended out. I'm just gonna work on clearing that last faint line I see at the top of my fade while doing clipper over comb. And this time I do not have the guard on. This is just lever open on my Gamma Ergos. And on the lineup, you guys can see I kept it as natural as possible, just tapping those baby hairs at his natural line, making sure that we don't push him back. And for the last step in the fade, I'm just gonna go ahead and use no guard, lever all the way closed. And we're just gonna flick out that last guideline that we see and open the lever little by little, just to attack any last dark areas that we see in our fade. And if you guys have learned anything in this fading tutorial so far, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel if you aren't subscribed already. And you guys can see that fade coming together with the few simple steps that I did. Now that we have the fade complete, I'm gonna go ahead and finish my client's lineup. So as you guys can see, I did not push his hairline back whatsoever. I kept it as natural as I possibly could. And you guys can see that we were able to fade out his pushback. It doesn't even look like his previous barber pushed him back. So that's one thing you guys really want to pay attention to whenever you're doing your haircuts. You never want to push your hairlines back, because when the hair starts growing in, it's going to make the next haircut much harder to achieve. And just doing some last detail work on my client's beard, making sure I clean up all those little flyaways under his neck, getting a nice crispy line. Same thing on his mustache. Whenever you guys do mustache work, you want to make sure you clear off all those little flyaways over the lip. And it's very important that you guys do this. It will increase your chances of retainment, and your client will appreciate all the extra detail work that you guys put in. So now that I finished my fade, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my client service with a facial. So I'm gonna start it off with a hot towel and a facial mask. And basically this is just cleansing out his pores. So I left it on for 5 minutes, and then I came back with another hot towel just to take it off. So So after I took off my client's mask, I went ahead and then put some toning solution with some CBD jelly just to close up his pores. And this is a very simple service that you guys can add to your haircuts to increase your revenue on your services. This literally only took me about 5 minutes to give my client a facial service and clean out his pores. And I went ahead and went over his lineup with the razor just to get that nice crispy look. And to finish off this haircut today, I went ahead and applied some of my NevinTheBarber curling mousse. And if you guys are interested in purchasing any of my products, feel free to visit my website. I will be sure to leave it in the description on this video. I do have curl foam, pomades, volumizing powder, shaving gel, aftershave, basically all of your hair care needs for any of you guys that are interested in purchasing them. But that is basically it for today's high drop fade with the facial. If you guys learned anything in this tutorial, please be sure to smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But it's been your boy NevinTheBarber, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one.